Hey guys, welcome to World Cup 2026 Extra Time. We're back for the second time today, talking about South Africa and Canada, the first match of the round of 32. So this was an interesting game. I think the crowd was probably a little flatter than I think it could have been, a pro-Canadian crowd, but if South Korea had done their job and beaten South Africa in the last stage of group play, that would have been a very pro South Korean crowd and a very full crowd. But South Africa and Canada played a kind of defensive-ish game early on. A lot of people were looking at Afonso Davies. He was on the bench for this game. We'll talk about where he ended up in just a second. I kind of liked the coaching matchup of Hugo Broos, who was the oldest ever to manage the World Cup at 74, versus Jesse Marsh, who is a very, very animated younger head coach out there, and especially at the end of the first half when there was a possible penalty in the box and it wasn't a penalty. Looking at it, it was where the Canadian defender's foot had stuck in there and he kind of tripped up. But Marsh is very about himself sometimes, I feel like. And it's good because I think sometimes the players may need a little pressure taken off of them. He thought actually playing this game in LA would have taken a little bit of pressure off of them and taken them away from the circus of Canada. And in this game, Canada had a lot of close calls. Really, at the end of the first half, and then when Alfonso Davies came in the 73rd minute to kind of be there for the late charge, whether it be everything in the second half left or possible extra time. And in the beginning of when he came in, there was just a lot of really good chances, but Canada just couldn't finish until the very, very end when I'm sorry, yeah, Eustachio scored in the 90th plus one or plus two, 90th plus two minute. And so the second minute of extra time of the second half. And that held on. Canada wins 1-0 and goes to the round of 16. The traditional round of 16. They will play on the 4th of July against the winner of Netherlands and Monaco tomorrow in Houston. Stats for this game, South Africa did what they did. They tried to get possession and then tried to get their opportunity, and they look like they frustrated Canada for a little bit in that game. It was a 58-41 possession. Expected goals for South Africa was 0.13, while Canada's was 1.32. And that kind of showed what Canada was trying to do. They were trying to get the right shot on target, but they never could get it done. Rowan Williams had a very good game in net for South Africa, came up with 5 saves, did a lot of work towards the back end, but his World Cup is over as the second of 10 teams from Africa has been eliminated from the competition. South Africa losing 1-0. We'll talk about Canada soon, but let's talk about them. So what we're going to do is we're going to kind of preview the Monday and Tuesday games, and then during the week we'll preview the Wednesday games either on Tuesday or Wednesday morning, and then Thursday we'll preview the Thursday and Friday games. So the Monday and Tuesday games, some very big names in here to start off. Let's start off with the next game on the docket, which will be Brazil and Japan. Monday afternoon in Houston, 1 p.m. start. Brazil, their road, they had 7 points in group play, 1-1 against Morocco, 3-0 against Haiti, 3-0 against Scotland. Japan didn't lose in the group stage either, had a 2-2 tie versus the Netherlands, a 1-1 tie versus Sweden, 4-0 versus Tunisia in the middle, and that's really what got them second place in this group. Brazil has only lost once to Japan overall, and they played in the World Cup 20 years ago 4-1. Japan, who actually beat Brazil last October in a friendly in Tokyo. Brazil is going to be an interesting story because Japan will not be intimidated by Brazil, but they've never won a knockout game in the World Cup. Brazil will try to have a good defensive spine. Brazil wants to make sure that Vinny Jr., who already has 4 goals in this World Cup, has freedom to create. The defense is going to be tested, though. Japan is a very smart team and will not make mistakes. I like this matchup a lot. If I look back in this, I had both of these teams making it to the round of 32. I just had it in reverse. I thought Japan would be second in the group. They were. Brazil, I thought they would be second in the group. They were not. They meet here. As much as I think Japan can pull the upset, I probably think Brazil goes through here. I think this goes to extra time, though. I really do. I think this is a 1-1 game. I think that's what I'm seeing here for these two teams. So that is the first game. The second game is Germany and Paraguay. They will play on Monday in Boston at 4:30. Germany 7-1 versus Curacao. 2-1 versus Ivory Coast. That clinched them the group. They played most of their starters, though, in a game where they lost 2-1 to Ecuador on Thursday. Paraguay, they had that bad opening game, 4-1 loss to USA. They ended up winning in a game where they were mostly at 10 men in the second half against Turkey, a 1-0, and then a scoreless draw against Australia, which got them their third place spot. Germany and Paraguay met twice. They played in the 2002 World Cup where Germany won 1-0. They played 3-3 draw in a friendly in 2013. Germany has had 7 different players score goals in this tournament. They played their deepness, and it's worked out. Teddy Undav has scored 3 goals from the bench, so he could be a super sub in this match. Kai Havertz has been really the star of this team. They have a fearsome foursome that can kill a team at will. Didn't see it a lot versus Ecuador. And it was kind of funny because I think Ecuador, their weakness was their offense, and they kind of got trampled a little bit, Germany's defense. Paraguay will be a frustrating team to play. Do not expect a lot of shots on their end. They haven't let up a goal since the goal to Gio Reyna back on July 12th in that first game against the US. So we'll see what happens. This is going to be a very interesting game. Can Germany survive? I think they do. I think they win this one, let's say 2-1. Netherlands, Morocco is the main event. It is Monday night in Monterrey at 9 p.m. Mexico gets a pretty one here between what I think is right now the fifth and two top 10 teams. I think they're sixth and seventh right now in the FIFA World Cup standings. Netherlands 2-2 against Japan, 5-1 against Sweden, 3-1 against Tunisia in the group stage, 7 points. Morocco also got 7 points in their group stage. A draw against Brazil, 1-0 against Scotland, 4-2 against Haiti. They lose on goal differential. These teams have played 3 times. Netherlands has won 2. They also played at the FIFA World Cup here in the United States in 1994, 2-1 Netherlands winning, and they also played in 2017, 2-1. The Dutch defense is going to be huge in this game because that's really what's helped them, especially against Sweden, where they look just dominant. Virgil van Dijk, obviously, and Jan-Paul van Hecke has been a very intensive test. Morocco, they score in bunches. You kind of saw that against Haiti. They really put it on in the second half. They have Bambou in the net. You've seen Bambou, who is just a huge insurance policy. I like Netherlands here. I think 1-0. I but I would not be surprised if this goes to extra time as well. Moving on to Tuesday's games. Ivory Coast and Norway is a sneaky good game. 1 p.m. in Dallas. Ivory Coast, they got 6 points in the group stage, winning the first and third games. 1-0 against Ecuador, 2-0 against Curacao, giving up that late goal against Germany to lose that 2-1. Norway also got 6 points, 1-0 Iraq, 3-2 Senegal, and then of course they kind of sat a few people against France and got demolished 4-1. You're going to see a lot. Not a lot of people may have seen a lot of Ivory Coast during the group stage if you haven't been watching all of the World Cup. Jan Demond is a beast out there, and he is going to be courted by a lot of Europe's most powerful clubs in the offseason. He might be going to Liverpool. And then you have Antonio Nusa, a guy who you might want to look at for Norway, who has been called the Norwegian Neymar in some quarters. So that is going to be a huge matchup. Those two in there both have been doing very well in their World Cup so far. Obviously, Erling Haaland didn't play in the last game against France, 4 goals in the first 2 games. Martin Odegaard will be the guy who is going to try to give him as much as possible to have the best chances. Love this team a lot. Uh, I think this does go to penalties. I really do. I think this is a 2-2 game, but I do see Norway coming in and winning. I thought Norway would get far in this. I think they're a quarterfinal team most likely. I see them moving on here. All right. France and Sweden. They play 5 p.m. on Tuesday. They'll play at MetLife Stadium in New York, New Jersey. 3-1 Senegal, 3-0 Iraq, 4-1 Norway. France has been dominant in this World Cup, 10-2 goals for and two against. Sweden had the opportunity after the 1-1 tie with Japan at the end of this World Cup group stage. They had dueling 5-1, a 5-1 against Tunisia and a 5-1 against them when playing against the Netherlands. By the way, Ivory Coast and Norway have never played before. By the way, if you wanted to know why I didn't mention their history, obviously France and Sweden have played. They're both European teams. They played 23 times most recently in the Nations League in 2020, where France won. What can you say about France? Mbappe and Dembele have been amazing. Mbappe was really the star of the first 2 games, and then Dembele gets a hat trick himself in the third game. Michael Olise, 3 assists. Michael Olise, 3 assists. That's the difference in this game. If you have the 3 best players on the field and they're 3 of the 10 best players in the World Cup, you're kind of screwed. Now, Graham Potter has done a decent job doing a bunch of stuff in this game, but he had to pull both Isak Ken and Victor Lindelof during the Japan game. If they can't play here, this could be ugly again. Don't I see this being ugly. I see a 3-1 result here, and I see France moving on. I think they're going back to the final eventually, and right now, nothing insists otherwise. The last game of Tuesday night will be Mexico and Ecuador. They'll be playing in Mexico City, 9 p.m. start. 28 matches for these two teams. Mexico had a 2-1 group stage victory in the 2002 World Cup. They drew in 2025. They've played in the place where they're going to play on Tuesday in the Estadio Azteca. 3-1 victory against Mexico back in 1997. Okay. The simple thing here is this. Mexico has been a young team. I've loved this team, and they got all 9 points in the group stage, winning against South Korea, winning against South Africa, and then winning against Czechia, especially after a second half group. Ecuador, we saw the Ivory Coast game was a little bit of a bump in the road, but, and then of course they drew with Curacao, but they get one of the bigger wins in the tournament when they beat Germany on Thursday. Can they bring that momentum here? This is only Ecuador's second time past the group stage, and even though I thought this team would be a big surprise, they've kind of been a little bit of a dud. The second half was actually a lot better for them, in my opinion, and they finally kind of unleashed Moise Caicedo out there, and it helped out. But I have Mexico in this game 2-0. Just remember, this team has only lost 2 competitive games at Estadio Azteca, and one of them was in the last one was in a qualifier over almost 13 years ago. I think the math is simple there. So that's what I like. So I hate to be dull with favorites. If I think I see any of those teams winning in the round of 32, I think Japan would be the most likely upset, with Ivory Coast being next. But I kind of see a lot of the favorites going through in this section. We will talk tomorrow. I'm going to try to recap all 3 games after they are done. That would be as long-winded as this. I don't know. It's long-winded. You decide. Go to Instagram, WCE Time, and Facebook and YouTube at World Cup 2026 After Time. We'll talk to you tomorrow.